Hi everybody, my name's Graham Frame and I just want to give you a little bit of background about me, not to blow my own trumpet or anything like that, in fact quite the reverse, but to let you understand that anything is possible, okay? All you've got to do is commit to it. I come from a working class background, but I was fortunate to have good education. I went to grammar school and then on to college, and I did what my parents wanted me to do, and that is to pursue qualifications and get a good job. And I did just that. I had an amazing job. At the age of 18, I was already a company secretary for a local company. I moved and became assistant pensions officer of a multinational global company. I left there and I went to work in Bermuda for one of the big banks in Bermuda, earning tax-free salary and living a very good life. It was my parents' dream, but it wasn't my dream. I hated corporate life. I hated all the politics that went on and often were totally unfair. Not to me, I always did really well because I was good at what I did, but I didn't enjoy it. And so when I threw it all up in the air and said, no, that's enough for me, I'm not doing it, I'm not working in an office again, and took off to go bumming around, everybody was astonished. So I set off and I was travelling overland. I was intending to go from New York down to Argentina, where I had a friend who was working there. But on my way through Central America, I met my wife, and within 7 days we were married, and I thought, well, I'd better go back to the UK and tell my parents that I'm married. So we arrived back in the UK, pretty well penniless, but happy, and my parents were overjoyed to provide us both with a home in the family house there. And I started looking around for something to do. I didn't want to work in an office. I worked short term over Christmas in a turkey farm. I was mainly doing deliveries to outlets that wanted turkeys, restaurants and clubs and this sort of thing, delivering large, huge, big catering sized turkeys and looking after the stock and inventory. I also helped with the killing and the plucking of the birds when there was nothing else to do. I had a stint as a fireman. I thought this is a great opportunity to serve the community, and it seemed like fun, but it was unsocial in that you could be working nights and you could be late back, even if your shift had finished. If you're on a fire, you can't just say, "Oh right, that's me, I'm off." You can let it burn. You have to carry on, don't you? So that became something that I wanted to change. And then I met a guy who was selling insurance, knocking on doors, not something I'd ever considered or particularly wanted to do. But he told me how much he was making, and that was like 3 times the average wage at the time. So I thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'll go out with him and see what he does. And we went out the first day. It was pouring with rain. We both got absolutely soaked. He didn't get into one house. And at the end of the day, he said, well, I'm sorry, it's just been one of those days. And do you want to come out tomorrow? And I said, yeah, more than ever. I said, because if that can happen to you and you're making all this money, that was better for me than you getting in and selling 2 or 3 policies. I said, because it just showed that you're happy, you just persist and keep going. And that was a big lesson that I learned. And I became one of the top salesmen in that insurance brokerage. But then that was also unsocial because it was knocking on doors, and I was working mainly from about 6 o'clock in the evening till could be early hours of the morning. And then an opportunity arose. I saw an advert for salesmen in rank Xerox. And this was before the days of personal computers. This was back in the 1970s. And it was selling word processing machines. Nobody had ever heard of word processing. I didn't know what it was. When I got into the interview, they said, do you know what word processing is? I said, well, it's Xerox. It's something to do with photocopying. So they had to explain to me that no, it wasn't. So these word processing machines sold for about £3,000, which was a lot of money in those days, when state-of-the-art office equipment was an electric IBM typewriter that cost about £300. So it was a big change, it was a big concept sale. But I got involved in that and I became one of the top salesmen in Ranks Xerox. In fact, I had the biggest installation in the country. Life was good. Money was exceptional. It was at a time when the average wage was probably about £1,000 to £1,500 a year, and I was making £16,000 a year and had a car and expenses and everything provided. But my wife and I wanted our own business. We wanted to work together. So I packed all that in and we bought a little pet shop, and we got involved in the pet trade, and soon we had 2 pet shops, and then we started wholesaling, and then we had a warehouse and cash and carry, and then we started manufacturing pet foods, and it was profitable, but I wasn't enjoying life. So I gave that away to my nephew who was working for me, and I went home, and my wife didn't believe that I'd just given it away because she put a lot of work into that as well. But after a few days she realised that I had, and after not very long the cash ran out and we were down to about £5 actually, and so it was time to do something about it. So I went to the supermarket and I bought some bread and some ham and some cheese and bits and pieces. This was probably very early 1980, and I made some sandwiches and went round offices selling them. And that then moved into a business that we started operating first of all from home, and then the health people, we got reported to the health people by other sandwich shops and things, and they came around and said, oh, you can't do this. So we found premises, and then we had a couple of shops, and we were doing a bit of wholesaling as well, and a little bit of restaurant stuff, and yet we still really weren't happy. And a friend of mine who was about the same age as me, and I considered to be quite young and healthy, was on a coast-to-coast walk with his son, and he just dropped dead halfway through the walk of a heart attack. And it makes you think, what are we doing? I mean, because we were enjoying life, but it was working really long hours. We were up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the market, buying produce and things, and we probably didn't finish till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then we'd go to the pub till closing time, and it'd be up again early the next morning. So is that really living? You have to think about it. And when somebody like that, a close friend about the same age as you, dies, you think maybe we ought to be in a different direction. And about that time I got introduced into multi-level marketing, something I'd never even heard of or seen. I got fascinated by the prospect of being able to generate passive recurring income, and so I got involved in multi-level marketing and gave up the shops. It was in a time of depression, we couldn't sell them, although they were on paper valued for a lot of money, so we just closed them, and we got involved in multi-level marketing, and we became amongst the top distributors in 3 different companies, because the first company I found that there were a lot of people failing. In fact, most of the people in my group were failing, and so I thought, well, there's something wrong here. Maybe it's the products, because we were selling water filters at the time. Maybe if we sold something more universally accepted, everybody could succeed. So I moved to a company that was selling wine and cosmetics. I thought, got to be a massive market for that. Everybody can succeed at that. And I once again became one of the top distributors in that company. But still, the same was happening. Most of the people were losing money rather than making money. They were having all these dreams pushed at them, and they were falling flat on their face. But I was getting involved in personal development as well at that time. I'd always been interested in the power of the mind anyway. And then a company came along that was providing personal development as a multi-level, and I thought, this is the answer, because if people get this personal development, that'll change everything for them and everybody. But the same thing happened. So I became disillusioned, and we actually moved to the United States, where my wife had family living, and we just went there, gave up everything and moved. So we arrived there once again with nothing, starting over again. And we looked around at what was possible and started a business which was intended to be cleaning cars. We bought these buffers and things and all this stuff and talked to somebody else that was doing this, and I in fact worked for a company that was just doing car cleaning for a while just to get the hang of it. And then we went and put out leaflets and flyers and to get our own business going. But the replies we got to the flyers were, well, I'm not too interested in my car, but what about my house? Can you clean the house? So we got involved in a house cleaning service, and we built that up, and we were able to live quite comfortably with that business. But I still had this passion for trying to help people make money, and the internet was just coming about that time. This was in the early 1990s. Personal computers had been developed and the internet was around. Once again, I got involved in looking at network marketing, and I thought maybe if I ran the company, we could devise a pay plan where everybody would make money. But that didn't happen either. I did, and I devised the pay plan, and we had lots of things going on that would help people. But although we improved the numbers a little bit, essentially 80% of the people still lost money. And if you look at the maths of how multi-level marketing works, 80% of the people have to lose money for the 20% of the people that don't lose money. And of those 20%, most of them break even or might make a small amount, while the top 2% make really good, strong incomes. So I decided that running my own multi-level marketing company wasn't successful either. Although it was making me money, it wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I got involved just in marketing online. I started that in 1998 really, and since 1998 I've been able to make money online and live the laptop lifestyle. It's changed drastically over those years, and I've always thought of myself as being successful really, because I've been happy and blessed. But when I look back, all my friends over all the many years have always thought that I'm the guy that is going to be like Richard Branson or Bill Gates, somebody that was really going to make it big. And I haven't. I've had days when I've made $20,000, and I've also been bankrupt once. I've been absolutely not bankrupt, but with no money. There's a big difference. You can be bankrupt legally, but it gives you time to just transfer assets and things and sort things out, so that it's just the stigma of being bankrupt. You don't actually lose anything. But you can get to a point where you're not bankrupt legally, but you have no money, you've got nothing, you're living, struggling, you're in a home that's had the electricity cut off, it's cold, you can't heat the water, you can't use a washing machine, you can't do things, you can't afford to put fuel in your car to go to the shops. There's being literally bankrupt, although not legally. So I've been there, but I've always believed that there was enough money anyway to exist and to live, and something would always happen and turn up, and it always has. And we were able to put food on the table even in those bad days, and really comfortably, even though it was a bit of a caveman existence. But I never ever reached the heights that people thought I should and would. And I've made excuses saying, well, I never wanted to. I never thought about anything more than I wanted. I've always been able to do what I wanted and whenever I wanted. But I got involved with Bob Proctor a while back, and looking at things, and it made me realise that I'd got a glass ceiling. I'd been also, amongst many other things in the past, I'd been a hypnotist, and I'd helped people break through those glass ceilings personally. But I'd never even realised and understood that I'd got one, that I was being held back by this glass ceiling, and I needed to break out of it and do something more. And since I got involved with Bob Proctor, and I've been working with his trainings and his teachings and his coaching, my life has changed dramatically. And I now have goals that I wouldn't have even bothered thinking about a few years back. My goals may sound audacious to you, but my major audacious goal now is to form a community that will generate over $1 billion a month for charity before I die. You can see I'm no youngster, so I've got to get moving on that, okay? And in the meantime, to accumulate income, because I've never bothered. I've never had a lot of money in the bank. If I've had 20 grand come in, I've spent 20 grand, you know. But I've now got a goal to have $10 million net worth. And I'm happy and grateful that I can see that now, and it's there. It's tangible to me. It's not actually in the bank at this moment in time, but it's up here, and it will be in the bank in the very near future. And the reason I'm telling you this is because all you need to do and to have everything that you want in life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's better health, whether it's to lose weight. For example, my weight has started dropping off since I changed my paradigm about my weight. I've not done anything other than understand that I needed to change something up here, and that would automatically create the physical change. So this is possible for anybody. There's loads and loads and loads of people that offer personal development courses, plans, books, whatever. But I've never found anybody, any organisation that puts it as succinctly, as easy to follow as the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And that has led me now to partner up with them to be able to share these wonderful, wonderful resources with the world to help everybody achieve their goals. Not somebody else's goals like I was living when I was in Bermuda, but their own personal goals, to find a way to learn how to set goals and to make them automatic. The achievement of those goals, make it just happen because you submit them to that universal power that some people, like me, call God. But it's there, no matter what you call it, no matter how you think of it. It's there, it's natural laws. And if you understand how to use those natural laws, then you must get the results. Just the same as if I take this and I drop it, it's a natural law that gravity will make it fall. And if I don't catch it, I'll break it, okay? So it's just as natural as that. And I'm here now to tell you that you can be, do and have everything that you want in life, in every aspect of your life. Total freedom, time freedom, lifestyle freedom, financial freedom. Any kind of freedom that you desire is yours. All you've got to do is, and I'm going to take a card out now and show you this card. I don't know whether you can see that clearly, but it's Walt Disney, and the quote on it says, "All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." I hope this video gives you the courage to pursue your goals, and I tell you now that I am committed to helping you achieve them if you commit to yourself to have everything that you want in life. God bless.